Welcome to Olds Mob 455. We're working on this Harley again, and now we're on the tins, and we'll keep working on stuff until the engine is done. And the first process is just getting all the cracked metal, the dents, and all that out, and then we'll start slinging mud and sanding and then painting. Here's another situation where we had the cart before the horse, and I started just taking the stuff home, and I was cleaning it up at home, and then he sandblasted it, and we still never had it cleaned up inside. This thing's filled with oil that looks like tar. It's all dirty and gummy, and in order to flush it out, we have to close off, it's had oil lines going to the pump. Just put the pipe plug back in. The banjo bolt, we just ended up making a bushing and put a copper washer on both sides to squeeze that up. Then we put the fittings in that go to the oil lines, and found fittings here and just took some tubing, flared it, squished it, soldered it shut. So now we're gonna fill it up with lacquer thinner, swash it around, try to get it cleaned out as good as we can, and then I'll be ready to do body work. So we got this where must have hit the crash bar or something. There was an injury to this thing. We saw a lot of bent metal. And we're gonna try getting this out with the stud gun right here. As he's pulling on that, I'll tap on these high points. And hopefully we can get that out. It's gotta go this way and that way. Can't overdo it. If it sticks out too far, it makes it worse. So you see how we set this up? And we're gonna work this dent out. And maybe as he's pulling, I'll be tapping on this, trying to relieve the stress, because it's buckled down and it doesn't want to come this way until we might even have to warm up the metal. We don't want to be making a bunch of little points coming up.
Oh.
I think we'll have to weld up a hole.
I'm gonna try and get on the other side a little bit.
Right in that crack there. Yeah.
Try to get over here a little bit. This stud gun is worth every penny for doing body work.
You notice the sound change?
Yeah.
As soon as that buckle came out, it was real tense before, and it was tinier sounding. And then as soon as you relieve that tension in there, all of a sudden it sounded hollow.
That's it's pretty much gone now. Just gonna be a skim coat of Bondo on there.
Right. A lot of times when you take these studs off, there's such a good weld, it just tore a little hole out of there. And we're working with paper thin metal now. So with the MIG gun, we'll just stick the wire right in there and just and plug that hole. Now we're gonna get the 80 grit DA and just go around here and see if we got any high spots. Tap them down. Then a smear of Bondo. Then if Bondo is like 1/8 inch thick, it'll stay there forever. It's when you get it like that thick that it starts to crack out. So it turns out we had a third dent. We popped that out. So here's the dent that was there. This is the dent that was there. But you can see how it's just going to be a thin skim, and these will be filled instead of having Bondo that thick.
Previously, we had nuts and bolts in our mineral spirits.
And they were so gummy that it was just stuck into the mud. I guess that's all we can do. Yeah, we didn't want to weld it with lacquer thinner in it, so we had to go to mineral spirits, and I'm blowing this stuff out. So when we have to weld from those little pull pins, then we'll check it with mineral spirits again, and then we'll finish off with lacquer thinner.
We weren't 100% sure where the leak was coming from. We just kind of welded the whole general vicinity. Gonna grind it now, recheck it. Really time-consuming stuff.
Yeah, we tacked up the hole, used the flap wheel to level it off. Then we put solvent in there and just checked there was no leakage. So now we're back to lacquer thinner and the washers, and before it wouldn't even slide around. Now you can hear that the washers are just flushing back and forth and loosening up stuff. Before it didn't do that. It was so sludgy in there that they stuck. And then as we pour it out, the oil and the lacquer thinner separate from each other, and all the lock washers are stuck in the mud. And then we clean them, and then we stick it back in here, and we flush it again. So we'll probably have to do this a few more times. You don't need to watch each time, but when we're finished, it'll be clean on the inside, and then we'll tape it all off, and then nothing will get in it.
So the last round we didn't get much at all with the lacquer thinner, but the mineral spirits.
It seems to loosen up this cruddy oil better.
Yeah, we're getting shit out of it with the mineral spirits. So.
But we will finish up with lacquer thinner and blow it out so the tank is just totally dry on the inside.